Hey guys, so we'll figure out the SketchUp situation at some point after I yell at IT in a really animated fashion. But what I have done is I actually downloaded a model that's a pretty good example of the type of workflow that I would be looking for. So this file, it's a SketchUp import trial. It's in that location. You guys can navigate to it. But what it is it's basically just like a set of, or it's like a prefabricated cubicle workstation sort of thing. When I import it, you'll see what it is. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to, in Rhino, we're going to take a rendering like this where you see a lot of the interior environment, and we're going to look at how different it is if you just go through the quick process of importing a few Entourage elements. And it doesn't have to be a lot of them, just a couple pieces here and there that fill it out a little bit and breathe some life into the architecture. It'll make it feel like it's not something you made out of acrylic sheets and museum board. Okay, so let's go back into Rhino here, and it's as simple as basically, you guys know the 3D warehouse in SketchUp, right? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about when I tell you you would grab things from the 3D warehouse in SketchUp. None of you? Wow. All right, so Iggy really wiped SketchUp out of the curriculum here. Okay. So, I mean, and rightfully so. SketchUp, it's not a great program, but it is really great for like these really weird, trinkety, like Entourage elements. It's awesome for that. But so really, and I'll show you I'll show you probably on Wednesday. Hopefully they can get it installed by then. But really, all you have to do is you open up a giant library of things that people make, and then you download it into your file, and then you can import it directly into Rhino. And it comes through with layers and material, well, not materials, but layers. And then you just assign materials as necessary. Yeah.
Doesn't Revit have stuff in Revit?
Yeah, it's very similar to that. If you guys have used Revit and you go to like Revit City to download families, or you use their default library, it's just like that. Yeah. But they're simpler in geometry, so they translate really well to a bunch of different software packages. So that's pretty much the only thing I use SketchUp for anymore. So anyway, once you've gone into SketchUp and you've gotten a model that you like, you export it or save it as a SketchUp file, and then you just go to File and you import, and then you navigate to that location, which happens to be right here for me, or for you guys it'll be here, SketchUp import trial. Hit OK. The thing that I would suggest here is, this is more personal preference than it is anything else. I don't really like working with meshes. They tend to be really difficult to modify if I have to, so I like to use trimmed planes. So when you click on trimmed planes and you hit OK, that model should import somewhere in your model, very likely at the origin, as long as the origin in your library element is set appropriately. Please hold. All right, guys, looks like we're back here. All right, cool. So I've got a model here. It came in extremely large, but we can fix that. Let me zoom out, show you what we're working with. It's very laggy, of course, like everything else. Okay. So it's basically one of these, right? It's like a workplace cubicle. So I'm just going to make a group out of this and then sort of just throw it around my model in a couple different locations, and it's going to give it a lot of character. Well, not a lot of character, but some. Better than nothing, I guess. I want to get rid of this bottom plane. So I exploded it, get rid of that. Then I'm going to take this and... Actually, let me do a left to right and just sweep all that and group it. So usually when, like my first guess when I have something that comes in either like way too large or way too small is that it's the increment of inch to foot difference. So I'm going to divide this by 12 and it should be right. So let's do a scale from here. I'm going to say 1/12. Should be fine. All right. So I don't know what level it's on, but ooh, it's laggy.
It's on water then.
Okay. All right, let me take a look at this in front view, see where we are. I'm a little high, so tell you what, guys, I'm not going to bore you with the throughout this whole video with just placing these things. So let me pause the video. Give me a couple minutes to just populate a few of them, and then we'll do another draft render, and we'll show you what it looks like. Whoa. Okay. All right, everybody. So it's apparently not. There we go. So it's not totally done rendering yet, but you can already see that it's definitely a little bit more exciting. At least I think so, anyway. Just by the sheer, having something in it, right? It doesn't take much, but as long as you just have something in it, it makes the rendering a little bit more active. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
So very little effort, just import a little bit of something in there. The redness and stuff is just because that's what the native material was that was on it. I didn't really change any of that, but all you have to do, because it comes in with layers. Come on. All right. Because it comes in with layers, all you have to do is just apply new materials to those layers, and you're good to go. So it's a really simple process. It takes almost no time at all.
So on SketchUp.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have SketchUp, which is weird. Okay, so what questions do you have besides what's going to take to get SketchUp on these computers? Probably not. Yes.
Is there a way to show water clear on the 3D model?
Clear?
Yeah, without rendering, because mine's big, so therefore all the dots are stretched out. So some of them are like, since it's so wide, it feels like it's invisible.
The best method I've found for that is to oversize it and then scale it down. Does that make any sense? Like, instead of doing 100 by 100, you go up to like 500 by 500, and then you scale it down so that it gets more dense. Yeah, it helps a little. There's probably a better way, a more professional way, but that's like the trick that I found for it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Like for Lumia, is that easy to put furniture or inside the?
Actually, Lumion uses the same workflow. Because Lumion, you don't model anything in Lumion. It does have a couple of preloaded elements, but they're not very good. So, like, if I was doing Lumion, I would build this in Rhino or Revit, whatever I'm using, and then all of these would be SketchUp elements that I just kind of drop in the model. Or, if it's a Revit model, typically this is going to be modeled anyway, so it just exports directly out of...
So Lumion doesn't have the pre-made
Some. But it's pretty limited. They focus a lot on like trees and animated people and stuff because like the furniture is so specific, they're not going to spend their time on that. Anybody else have any other questions on this? No? Okay.
So let's download SketchUp.